In the rugged heart of western North Carolina, where the ancient Appalachian Mountains hold secrets older than time itself, a new Bigfoot sighting has just been reported. This is a real-time account of an encounter so close, so undeniable, that it stopped traffic on a state highway and left two witnesses, and potentially more, forever changed. On Wednesday, July 30th, 2025, barely 2 weeks ago, in broad daylight, a large black bipedal creature ran across a busy road and vanished back into the shadows of the Nantahala National Forest. This sighting wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a one-off event. It was just the latest in a long documented history of encounters in a region that has become a certified Bigfoot hotspot. Tonight, we're going to take a deep dive into this new sighting and explore the area's rich, mysterious legacy on this episode of The Weekly Strange. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Weekly Strange. I'm your host, John F. Mers, author, actor, adventurer. Now, to understand the full ramifications of this report, we obviously have to start at the beginning with the witness account. The official report, which was filed on August 1st, 2025, with the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, otherwise known as the BFRO, says the event took place between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. on a sunny afternoon. Two people, a woman named Susan King and her fiancé, were traveling along Highway 64 near the town of Highlands. It's a winding two-lane road known for its beautiful but often treacherous mountain terrain. Suddenly, the car ahead of them, a blue Hyundai, slammed on its brakes, causing them also to have to stop short. Initially, they thought it was a deer, which is anybody that lives anywhere even near the woods knows is an everyday occurrence. But what they saw instead was anything but ordinary. Emerging from the dense tree line on the right side of the road was a creature that was undeniably bipedal. It walked on 2 feet easily and smoothly. It was massive, covered in dark, almost black hair, and incredibly broad-shouldered with long arms. The two witnesses estimated that it was well over 7 feet tall. The creature wasn't lumbering, it was moving with a purposeful, powerful stride, and it crossed the entire highway in what felt like a single fluid motion. Now, similar to the account of a sighting that I did an episode on barely a month ago, of a sighting near Sturgis, South Dakota, this creature did the exact same thing upon reaching the other side of the road. It didn't slow down. It simply vaulted over the guardrail effortlessly and disappeared into the impossibly thick forest behind. Now, the entire event from the moment it appeared to its complete disappearance probably took no more than 10 seconds. It was over in a flash. But the image of the creature was seared into the witnesses' minds forever. The report notes that the witnesses were left in a state of genuine shock, which some investigators often look for as a sign of a credible encounter. It should be noted that this particular sighting happened just down the road from a Dollar General store. So we're not actually talking about being off in the middle of remote wilderness on some lone highway. I mean, it's literally just down the street from a bunch of businesses. And this sighting is not an isolated incident. There's a rich, decades-long, if not centuries-long, history of encounters in this region. Macon County, North Carolina, is not just a place where a sasquatch was seen. It's a known habitat. Let's look back to some other reports that have happened in the same area. June 2015, on the very same highway, US 64, a BFRO investigator named Jeff Carpenter had his own sighting. He had gone out for a late-night drive, just not really even thinking about Sasquatch hunting, so to speak. He just wanted to get out and listen to some music. And as he was coming around a turn, he saw a coyote on one side of the highway, but then a short distance away, behind a guardrail, he saw what he called a reddish-brown upright figure standing behind a guardrail before disappearing into the forest. Now, Carpenter, being a seasoned investigator, immediately pulled over and tried his own howl call, hoot call, whatever you want to call it. But the only response he got were from a pack of nearby coyotes. Carpenter, who has investigated many reports and actually grew up in this area in the western mountains of North Carolina, described the creature as having, quote, a most impressive width and no neck visible. This physical description, the immense size, the lack of a prominent neck, and the upright posture is obviously consistent across countless reports. Now, just 6 days after Carpenter's sighting, 2 hikers on the Appalachian Trail, which runs directly through Macon County, reported something equally chilling. Late at night, they heard a tremendous howl that lasted for 10 to 15 seconds. They described it as a sound that, quote, could not be mistaken for any other animal. It was followed by a series of strange whooping vocalizations. And the next morning, they discovered large tracks in the mud that were clearly not from a bear or any other known animal. They also pointed out that they spotted what they think were 3 mushrooms that had been picked but not eaten, and had seemingly been placed near the trail, perhaps as a marker of some sort. Local researcher Tim Dills, who has been investigating in Macon County since 2008, has built up a personal dossier of evidence. He's recorded what he believes are wood knocks, a common Sasquatch communication method, and found mysterious tree structures in large, unexplainable footprints. Most compellingly, he claims to have collected hair samples that are supposedly currently under study at North Carolina State University. These are not just isolated stories. These accounts from 2015, Tim Dills, and this most recent sighting from 2 weeks ago. They're all pieces of a larger puzzle which fit together to form a consistent narrative of an unknown creature living in these mountains. And why do so many credible reports come from this specific area? Obviously, the answer lies in the land itself. The Nantahala National Forest is a perfect, almost ideal habitat for a large reclusive creature or creatures. It's vast, it's untouched. The forest itself spans over 500,000 acres, and it's rugged, remote, and filled with areas so dense and difficult that to access them would be almost impossible unless you're on foot and possibly an off-road vehicle. It's almost completely untouched by humans in some places. A large creature could easily live out its entire life here without ever having been seen. Now, there's obviously, in such a place like this, a rich ecosystem with abundant food and water, as well as the usual sources of a wide range of food like berries, nuts, vegetation, and also abundant population of deer and other small game. A creature or a family of Bigfoots would need a massive food supply, and the Nantahala National Forest provides it. And while we're talking about the area, it's probably also worth noting that there's some pretty deep-rooted folklore in this region. And the idea of a wild, hairy man in these mountains isn't exactly new. For centuries, various indigenous tribes and early settlers in the Appalachian region have told tales of a creature known by various names, including my favorite, the wood booger. These are not just modern myths. They're stories that have been passed down through generations, long before the term Bigfoot was ever coined. And this region has also been known to have supposed feral people living in it, although given the size of the creature the witnesses saw in the most recent sighting, I feel pretty confident that we can rule feral people out as an alternative suspect. And here's another thing. I think it's pretty wild that we seem to be getting more reports of daytime sightings of Sasquatch. So is this reflective of an attitude change? Do they alter their behavioral patterns during certain seasons or months? I've seen several reports lately that have all happened during daylight hours, when most researchers tend to think that Bigfoot is laying low, resting up for their nocturnal hunting hours. Now, personally, I've never really thought that an intelligent creature like this would confine themselves to nighttime hunting. There's too much opportunity for hunting and foraging during the daylight. And I am pretty sure that there are numerous accounts, and I know I've read one myself, where people accidentally stumbled upon a creature sitting amid blueberry bushes eating their fill under a warm sun. So perhaps they're not necessarily nocturnal hunters at all. Maybe they're just opportunistic survivors who hunt when they know their prey is readily available. In any event, we have a clear daylight sighting from multiple witnesses on a busy highway. We have a consistent pattern of historical sightings in the same area, the same county, including vocalizations and alleged physical evidence. And we have a perfect habitat for a creature to thrive in secret. Now, skeptics, and I am skeptically optimistic, but still, skeptics will, of course, offer counter-arguments saying that it was a bear, it was a hoax, but the details in this report state something to the effect of the bipedal gait, the effortless speed, and the incredible jump over the guardrail do not fit the profile of a bear, which is true. Bears normally lumber along at a relatively leisurely pace unless they're upset about something or they've been spooked off. And going back to the idea that it might have been a feral person, it doesn't really wash with me either, since most people aren't going to vault a guardrail then stride up into the woods. I also don't think it was a hiker who got turned around somewhere off the Appalachian Trail and was simply trying to find their way back to it. The difference between day and night encounters with these creatures is that we can observe a great deal more, obviously, using the one sense that humans value almost more than any other, our sense of sight. What we see in broad daylight offers far more detail and credibility than what we see on the fringes of our peripheral vision at dusk and at night, when we might be inclined to see more than just a dark blob that we really can't identify for certain. We have excellent vision during daylight, but we fall far short of other creatures when that light vanishes from the sky. And as anyone who has been out in the woods at night knows, even with a flashlight, even with night vision, even with thermal imaging, what we think we see sometimes isn't what is really and truly there. In the end, the July 30th, 2025 sighting is more than just another report. It's a loud, clear message from the Appalachian wilderness. As we've discussed before, there are plenty of places for a Sasquatch creature to call home. And far from what most people thought back a few decades ago, those places they call home might not be as deep into the wilderness as this sighting or some others have been. In fact, in a couple months' time, I'll be bringing you a pretty fascinating account of a creature sighting that took place steps from a bunch of homes. Not in the deep, dark woods at all, but literally on the edge of a pretty busy and built-up area. So stay tuned for that. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of The Weekly Strange. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new uploads. And if you really like the content I'm creating, please consider joining the channel as a supporting member. You get access to some pretty cool perks, and there's going to be a lot more stuff that's going to be released just for members only. Also, I am really close, like spitting distance to 1,000 subscribers on this channel, which I would really like to hit really soon. So if you know anyone who digs this sort of content, please tell them to come on out and check it out. The more the merrier and all that jazz. I'm also going to be putting out some content on this channel related to my writing work. I write all sorts of paranormal fiction, so I will be posting book trailers, short films, that sort of thing. haven't figured out how I'm going to do this yet because I don't want to confuse the YouTube algorithm into thinking that this channel is not specifically focused on these shows, because it is. I just want to bring out this other content as well. Some of you folks might enjoy watching it. So I still have to figure that out. But for now, thank you so much for watching and listening. I'll see you later this week for another episode of The Weekly Strange. Good night.